Hello, Steeler Nation, and welcome to your SteelerNation.com podcast, sponsored by Total Sports Enterprises. I'm your host, G.Stryker, and I'd like to welcome back my first co-host from 2018 when I started running this podcast, entertainment manager, motivational speaker, producer, Brad Lambert. Brad R. Lambert, how are you doing, my friend?
What's up, my man? It's great to see you as always.
I keep remembering because I know you as Brad Lambert, but I've got the entertainment industry needs to know you as Brad R. Lambert. Thanks for joining the show, my friend. And this is fun too, because when we first started back in the day, I mean, I was like in the attic of my garage with this old equipment, and we're just strictly doing, audio. And now we have audio, video going at the same time. It's a new world for us. This is great.
It is indeed.
It's great to actually see your face while we're working.
Yeah, you too, man. You
Cool,
too.
Man. So it's great to have you back, and I'm hyped for all this positive work that you're doing in the entertainment world, man. So tell Steeler Nation what you've been up to.
Oh man, I mean, you know me. I've been around the team since like 05, 06.
Yep.
Started in the sports industry, working with these guys and the team and agencies and brands in the sports industry. But I made my way out to Los Angeles to work with this man, Robert Downey Jr. and his incredible team. Which was just a dream and an incredible experience for me because it was my shotgun intro to Hollywood.
Yes.
So I learned so much about the industry. It's very different from the sports industry, as I'm sure you can imagine.
Yeah.
Learned a lot. So grateful of my time with those guys, and then went to Warner Brothers for a few years and worked on the marketing campaigns for TV, film, and catalog titles.
Yeah.
And then after that, I've been independent ever since. So I produce, I manage, I speak, I do hosting. I'm an entertainment journalist. So I cover a bunch of stuff, working with all the major studios from the press, the PR, the social media, the production standpoint, as well as marketing. So my goal out here is to create a life around my passions and add as much value as I can around those things.
That is great. And I love that you're strictly not just Marvel. I saw you at a, it looked like the
Suicide Squad.
The premiered for Suicide. That was exactly what I was going to say. And that was an amazing movie. I loved it. I thought it was a ton of fun.
Oh yeah.
I like, though I like the last one too. I like the animated Suicide Squads. I think 100%. That they do a good job with those. I'm one of the few people that love the layout of Jared Leto as the Joker the first time.
Me too. Jared Leto as the Joker is fantastic.
But it's tough to follow
Heath Ledger.
And that's what everybody goes. Follow Heath Ledger, and then you have Phoenix doing it and winning an Oscar for it. So that's
but here's the thing though. Ledger, Phoenix, Leto, they're all different Jokers.
Right.
And we can have 3-4 brilliant Jokers.
Yes, we
can.
That's
the thing. Like 5. It doesn't matter.
Mark Hamill.
Like let's not compete and say,
right,
this guy sucks because he's not Ledger. Like no one's Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
And Joaquin Phoenix was incredible in his own right too.
Yes.
But, I liked Leto's Joker. I thought he really embodied the just scary craziness and the kind of mob boss gangster-esque.
Yeah.
I love that. I thought it was a really cool take on the character.
Yeah. And that's one of the fun things from the comics. If you were a comic reader of Batman, you understand that Joker's superpower is he's able to embody different personalities, and that's like from one personality to another, he's completely different, and that's what makes him really difficult to beat, because he can be technically a different person. You defeat him once, he'll come back as somebody else, and they'll do it a different way, and it's just really, really neat. So one thing I really had to talk about, because Steeler Nation went crazy last year when we were all stuck in our houses, when Robert Downey Jr. and Cam Hayward started talking. First off, I guess Steeler Nation didn't even know that Robert Downey Jr. was a Steeler fan. I mean, was he always a Steeler fan, or did you working around Robert Downey Jr. make him a Steeler fan? Because I know your passion, man.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, his family's from around just outside Pittsburgh. His mom's from outside Pittsburgh. So,
awesome.
That just makes him even better, in my opinion, as him being a Steeler fan. And he's been very outspoken about it over the years. He's had his moments, which was really cool. And for me to be a part of this and help put this together with my dear friend, Jimmy Rich, who just recently passed away. Love you, brother. It was very special.
Nice. And so when this started,
there's Jimmy. Jimmy Rich.
Oh, and he,
my brother.
Sorry to hear about the loss there, man. That's tough. But there he's showing the the glove there for Steeler Nation,
Yep.
saying, Cam, all you got to do, send me a jersey and I will send you a glove. And the cool part was, if I can flip over to the other one, here is the reply from Cam. Getting to be super excited. Holding the glove, getting the glove right there in the mail.
It's signed.
That is so awesome. And I was to say for Iron Man for Iron Head as well, alluding to his father's name.
So cool.
So cool. And his dad was a hell of a player as well. So tell me specifically, how did this come up? Did Robert Downey Jr. talk to you about this? Was this something you went to Robert Downey Jr. about? Did Cam say that he's a huge Marvel fan? How did this start, man?
Yeah, so Cam and I are good pals. Such a great guy, and we talk about Marvel all the time. So it's a constant dialogue. I was texting him last night about the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, but during this was, I think, not last year but the year prior. Jason Momoa was in Pittsburgh. Filming a project, and he was wearing Cam's Bumblebee jersey, which I thought was really cool. I was like, dude, Aquaman,
yes.
Awesome. And he was like, yeah, it's so cool, man. He's like, but if I had to pick a celebrity who would support or wear my jersey, it'd be Robert Downey Jr. And I was talking to him, I'm like, are you serious right now? Like the connection, like, hello. And he was like, what? He's like, are you serious? I'm like, dude, send me jerseys. I'll get it to Downey ASAP. And he was like, no way. So he freaked out. And it was really cool for me to connect those dots because obviously I'm a diehard Steeler fan. I'm from Pittsburgh. I love this team. And to have these relationships with the guys, it just makes it even more precious for me. And it's such a cool, connection and to have the relationship as a fan and as a friend to a lot of these guys it just makes it better. It's a very special experience for me. So to connect those dots was awesome. And I told Cam, I said, hey, I'll get you the jerseys to Downey, but you got to do something for me. He was like, what's that? I was like, you got to send me a jersey.
Nice. Yeah.
So that was the, all right, I'll do it, but you got to throw one in there for me. And he of course laughed at that request and sent me one, and that was easy. But yeah, so I got it to my guy Jimmy Rich, and Jimmy is a diehard Steeler fan. I watched every game with him, when he was in town, and that was Downey's right-hand man and best friend for 20 years. So, he definitely had the Steeler influence from Jimmy big time.
Okay. Nice.
So,
all you guys Steeler fans, that's incredible.
No,
that's incredible.
That's how Jimmy and I really bonded is, we connected online, and it was the passion for Pittsburgh and the Steelers and Marvel, and that was really cool. And so I got the jerseys to Jimmy, he got it to Downey. And obviously it took a while with the pandemic and things like that. Yeah. But when it hit, it just happened. The Steelers were, I think, 10-0 at the time. Yeah. And the hype was real. So it was just perfect timing. And Downey came out with the video of him rocking the 97 jersey. And, and then, I was able to connect Cam with Downey direct, and it was just really special, man. It was the ultimate collab to bring my passion for the Steelers and Downey and Marvel and two people I really care about, and Downey and obviously Cam. So it was just special, man.
And it's neat that they both had such a mutual respect for each other's work.
Oh,
that's just the neatest aspect to me.
Yeah, for sure. I'll never forget it.
Oh, that's great. And neither was Steeler Nation. It was just such a cool thing. So now, obviously you're living out there in California. How closely are you still able to keep up on the Steelers with the preseason games, with practice? I'm just trying to get a gauge on your...
Man, I
how dialed in you are.
If I'm not dialed into Twitter, I don't miss preseason games. I have NFL Game Pass. So I'm watching everything as it happens. Awesome. I do live streams on my Twitch. So I have a lot of people on there who are chiming in during the games. But, I may be in LA. What do they say? You can take me out of Pittsburgh, but you can't take Pittsburgh out of me. So I'm out west now, which is, Steeler Nation out here is crazy. I went to the Chargers game a few years back, and it was when they were playing in the smaller stadium before SoFi opened. Yes. And dude, it was the
Steeler game.
It was the most insane environment because it wasn't the biggest stadium, which meant that the presence of Steeler Nation was that much bigger.
Because I remember that game because when the Chargers hit the field, you heard booing.
Oh yeah.
It was
Oh yeah.
insane.
Yeah, dude.
And their
You
home
know,
stadium, they got outbooed.
to walk away with the dub with Duck Hodges at
Right.
quarterback was
Yeah.
hilarious. So, but yeah, I
Oh,
mean, it's you know, I love the team, and like I said, having the personal relationship with the guys makes me care even more because I want to see them win on and off the field. So
nice.
it's pretty cool. But yeah, I talk a lot with the players, so I get my little, you know, inside scoop on things, and I'm
Yeah.
able to, you know, try to be as in tune and connected to the team and the organization as best as I can, being out here in LA. But I miss it. I wasn't able to get back last year, obviously,
Yeah.
because of the pandemic. So at the drop of a hat, I'm going back. I'm trying to hit the home opener if I can.
Nice. Nice. I will be there. I'll see you out there if you want to come by the Steeler Nation
Yeah.
tailgate, we'll definitely host you there for a bit.
Thanks, man.
Trying to get the RV out there too. I got an RV just
Oh, nice.
specifically for this kind of stuff. Going to park it in North Shore or North Park.
Let's go.
Walk down the couple blocks.
I love that.
So now, I mean, obviously, I know you're really tuned in with Highsmith. Highsmith is destroying it in camp right now and destroying it in preseason games. Same thing with Pat Fryermuth that you're telling me that you're starting to talk with him, and he had an immense game. 2 touchdowns, man. Should have had a third. If Rudolph was able to get it out there a little farther, he would have had that third one.
100%.
But amazing to watch both of those two young players really kind of come into their own faster than we realize or faster than we were expecting. So speak to them both on a level as football players and on a personal level. And how do you react? How do you interact with these guys when they have a good game?
Oh man, good or bad, I'm always showing love. I mean, that's what it's about for me. So like after the draft this year, I connected with Kendrick Green, Pat Fryermuth, Najee Harris. So it was like in one day, it was like connecting with all those guys and just letting them know.
Najee being a California guy too.
Yeah. I mean, but for me, man, it's literally, I've done this since I've, you know, over the last 5-10 years, the draft, free agents, whoever comes to the team, I reach out and I say, hey, welcome to the family. I've been around the team since 2005. If you need anything, don't hesitate. Like I'm an ally. I'm an asset. Hit me up. It could be, I need Madden early, you know, or I need introduction at this company or brand or whatever. I just try to help. Right. Yeah. And then last year it was Ebron. So I reached out to Ebron. I'm like, what's up, man? Welcome to the team. I was like, let me know what you need. I'll help if I can. And he was like, I need a house in Pittsburgh. And I was like, well, I'm not a realtor, but let me make some calls. Yeah. So I actually helped get him his house in Pittsburgh, which was really cool.
And it's a nice house. Got the pool in the backyard. He was setting up the jugs machine, shooting it over.
It's like, you know, I'm not a realtor, but I have a good foundation in the city and good relationships. I was able to connect, you know, and it worked out. But this year, you know, no different. The new draft class comes in and these are young guys who are obviously new to Pittsburgh and maybe not so much Fryermuth because he went to Penn State. Yeah. But, you know, these guys it's a whole new different world for them. And I just try to be an asset as much as I can, being in LA and just in general with my relationships in Pittsburgh. And so, you know, getting to know these guys, they're just excited, man. Pat is a stud. Obviously we know what he did at Penn State, but you know, Alex, you know, he's just like, this guy's a baller, dude. Like people don't understand because they're seeing it every day in practice. Right. You know, the first 2 preseason games, Pat really didn't do anything. And I think that's for a reason, you know, and then the 3rd preseason game, he catches 2 unbelievable balls from Ben. And, you know, the prevailing theory around Pat Fryermuth is he doesn't drop anything, contested or not. So he's showing that. And with Ben at the helm, you know, throwing him lasers, you know, Ben's comparing him to Heath Miller. And I get it. I think Pat's a bit taller and maybe a bit more athletic in that sense. No disrespect to Heath. He's just a different player. But he's getting comparisons to Travis Kelce and things like that. It's crazy. So like if you can couple him with Ebron, you got some athletes at tight end, not to mention the receiving core, which is ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, I like where the offense is at. And then you add Najee Harris, arguably the best running back in college football over the last few seasons. You saw what he did against the Lions. You know, the guy catches balls like Le'Veon Bell, get him in space, and he does the rest. He never loses yards. And that's what I love about him. There was a play, I think it was
2 games ago.
Yeah. 2 weeks ago, he got hit 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage and got 6 positive yards out of it. Like he's always moving. And that's something the run game statistically was, I think, dead last year. And that says a lot considering we were 11-0 at one point.
Exactly.
So I think, if we can get any semblance of a run game together, that's going to prevent Ben from throwing the ball 60 times, which he shouldn't be doing.
Yes.
And then that'll free up the crazy receiving core that we have. And guys like Juju and DJ and Claypool are going to go crazy, not to mention James Washington, who is such a stud.
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm excited, man. And then, Alex Highsmith, a lot of people were, I think, sleeping on Alex Highsmith, especially after we picked up Melvin Ingram.
Yes.
Ingram's a phenomenal player, and that gives us tremendous depth because you essentially have 2 starters on the outside, opposite of TJ Watt.
And I saw both of them, like I think it was the second preseason game. They were flip-flopping.
Yeah.
And that's something we haven't seen out of our players yet, which we know TJ Watt can flop.
100%.
I didn't know Highsmith could.
Yeah.
So watching that is going to be fun for coming up this year with Butler, what they're going to dial up.
Alex has that spin move that is torturous to these opposing tackles. And I'm telling you right now, that's going to be his secret weapon because he's going to fake it sometimes and then just stay outside. And then sometimes he's actually going to do it on the inside. And we saw the first preseason game, he pulled it out and it got him a sack. So he's always in the backfield. He's doing real well against the run. So don't sleep on Highsmith this year, guys, because I'm telling you right now, he is a stud. And then if he has to get a breather, Melvin Ingram's coming in. And then, we know what's on the other side. TJ Watt, just the best outside rusher in the NFL. So I mean, I like what I'm seeing out of the team, man. I think the weaknesses have been addressed. I don't see a ton. I think the line obviously will get better as the year goes on, just because a lot of new people got inserted into that line. But Kendrick Green, the one thing I've been hearing a lot about the offensive line collectively is they have a nasty side to them this year.
Yes.
They are mean. And that's something, the physicality, the aggressiveness that the line didn't have last year. And it's been implemented with the new offensive line coach, and the defense is feeling it every day at practice. So, I like seeing Kendrick Green fly down the field 15, 20 yards and bury the safety or this or a cornerback. And, you got to make yourself, known out there on the field. And that's what these guys are doing. So I'm just excited that there's really not. And then you pick up Trey Turner, 5-time Pro Bowler.
Right.
So I hated losing to Castro. He's a obviously future Hall of Famer, just an insane talent. But, and Pouncey's Pouncey, obviously. But, Kendrick
another
Green,
Hall of Fame talent.
Yeah. Kendrick Green is not so far off of what Pouncey was when he first got here.
Right.
He can move. He's athletic, and he's got a mean, nasty side, and that's what we need. So I'm excited. Zach Banner's coming back. Shout out to him. Took you to the cleaners in FIFA multiple times, but 22's coming out, so I'm ready to go.
That's great. Yeah, and I know he's competitive in everything.
Yes,
softball,
he is.
Football.
I'll see you in 22, bro. No, because last year we had a bet that whoever won in the best of series would have to make a video and put it out on social media. So I took him to the cleaners, as I did Le'Veon Bell.
Nice.
And he put it out on social media, and he said, Brad's the best. And that was,
what was the score? How did the series end for both of those?
I mean, it got progressively worse for him as the games continued, but the first game was pretty close, and then it just kind of went downhill from there. But no, it's all fun. It's all love, Zach.
That's great.
You know that. But
we know.
But yeah, it's just but that's what's cool about these guys is now, back in the day, it was like, oh, they play cards. Now it's like these guys are hardcore gamers.
Yes.
Banner's on there. Highsmith is on there. Freiermuth, Claypool, Juju, and that's really cool. Back in the day, man, in college, I used to play Call of Duty, Modern Warfare with Hines Ward, guys like that, Justin Vincent, Santonio Holmes, Max Starks, that would be my party on Call of Duty.
Nice.
And, so they're just people like us at the end of the day when they're not on the field.
Right.
Tomlin says football, it's what we do. It's not who we are.
Yeah.
Right. So that's something that, I really love about these guys. And I like the caliber of people that we have on this team now. on and off the field.
It seems like the locker room has gotten a lot more responsible, a lot more family and team oriented,
Correct.
which has happened in these since we've been on the show in 2018.
Correct.
And we started leaking the talent for AB and Bell leaving. But it's just a new cohesiveness that helped them through 2019, to tell you the truth, even though losing your starting quarterback, you expect to tank. Steelers didn't.
No,
they nearly made the playoffs.
Yeah, man. My goodness. But hey, the one guy too, Dwayne Haskins.
Yes.
I like him a lot, man. Honestly, if I had to pick, my quarterbacks would be Ben, Haskins, and Dobbs.
Oh, you wouldn't even have Rudolph in the three.
No.
Really?
I love Dobbs' versatility. I love his arm. I love how he can run. Same with Haskins. It's a different league now. Pocket quarterbacks do not exist anymore. I mean, look at Trey Lance, right?
Yep.
Jalen Hurts.
Yep.
The new guys, Justin Fields.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a different game now. It really is. So I want to have guys who can move, and no offense to Mason. They're saying the ceiling for Haskins is much higher than Rudolph. 100%.
Yes.
So he was a first rounder for a reason.
Yeah.
So
15th pick. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. We've seen a lot out of Mason.
Yeah.
And I think he's a solid backup. But to lead the team moving forward, I'd much rather put it in the hands of Dwayne Haskins and let him run with it, with the young guys that we have around him and the talent that we have around him. And with a line that is going to be kind of getting better as the year goes on, we need someone who can get out of there and pick up yards. And that's what he's done in the preseason. And Mason is not that guy. He just does not have the ability and the pocket presence to roll out and pick up yards. Whereas Dobbs and Haskins, 100%, they'll scoot out, they'll pick up 3, 4, 5 yards, which once again, last year with no run game, we saw 3rd and long is not where you want to be.
And over here on Facebook, Greg Tria, Anthony Laird, Sean McGowan, great seeing you guys. BMK over on YouTube. Guys, keep chiming in. Let us know if you have any questions for the show. We're obviously going to get to them at the Ask Steeler Nation segment here at the end of the show. But keep chiming in. We always love hearing from you guys, and everybody's super excited for this upcoming year and the defense in general, who Joe Hayden just tweeted out or just reported out during an interview that he thinks it's the best defense he's been on. This could be the best defense he's been on.
That's a bold statement. I was with Joe in the off season. He trains out here in LA. So every time he's out here in the off season, I go catch up with him during his training sessions, and he's in the best shape of his career. And he wants to retire a Steeler, which means he wants an extension for a few more years. And I hope they give it to him. He looks good out there, and he's a great, great guy off the field. So I can't speak highly enough about Joe Hayden. And, I like what I'm seeing out of the defense. I think, a lot of people are just sleeping on this team, man. I don't know why saying the Steelers are going to be last in the division is absolutely absurd.
Yes.
I just don't get it. And Ben saying his arm is even better this year than it was last year.
It's gotta be,
which we were 11-0 at one point. And the end of the season, the wheels kind of fell off, and it happens. But, hopefully we won't have any COVID scares or protocols and things that, prevented Joe Hayden from not playing multiple times.
Yeah. He missed both Cleveland games.
Yeah.
One last game of the season. And of course he wants to play against his old team.
Yeah.
And I had to kill him not to be out there on the field.
I felt bad. Yeah. For he didn't even get to play in the postseason, man.
Right.
Like that's what you play for. And then he wasn't even allowed to participate. So not having that. And then the bye week situation got completely trashed last year. So those guys had to go 8 straight games or something to end the year. So it's just not what you're looking for. But, I think the depth of the team is significantly better this year. And like I said, if something happens to any of our key guys, Balaj, he's come out of nowhere as a stud. I hope he makes the team. Physical, big running back. And that's what I like out of the running back room right now is they're big and they're physical and versatile. I love McFarland. He gives me
he's already risen the charts. He's already number 2.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
and that's because of
Benny's,
Matt Canada. He knows his offense. He played there in Maryland with the guy.
And Snell has had some injury, problems, which is unfortunate, but McFarland has a change of pace back, getting him out on some screens and like in the flat, giving him space to use that speed. I mean, I like it. And he knows the offense. So, having obviously Najee and McFarland as 1-2, I think that's a pretty deadly combo. We obviously saw a strong physical back and a speed back in Bettis and Parker, and that worked out pretty well for us. Shout out to my guy, Willie P.
Yep.
But yeah, man, I mean, I don't have anything bad to say about this group. I'm not worried. I'm really not. The only thing I'll say is they got to get the deal done for TJ.
Yes.
And they're running out of time.
Well, they say they don't do deals after training camp, but what they actually mean is they don't do new deals once the regular season starts.
They're running out of time.
They are. And I've heard a couple reports coming out. I think, was it Lolly or was it, well, but either way, the report was that they're looking for Watt to sign the largest contract in defensive player history by Friday or on Friday. So that's
good.
The
like
talk.
You got to get it done because he has to be there week 1.
Yes, he does.
I really feel that first game versus Buffalo will set the tone for the season. Yeah. I truly believe that because Buffalo is going to be in the runnings for the AFC. Mm-hmm. So if you can come out of the gates week 1 and beat them in their house, I feel good moving forward because the schedule is tough this year. Like we know that. So
number 1 so far.
Yeah.
The toughest strength of schedule based on last year's records.
And that happened in 2008 and look what happened.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter, but Tomlin always says it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And last year we started great and the wheels fell off.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I feel good about this team. There's not a whole lot here where I'm nervous. I do think the first few games might be a little rough just because the O-line is being patched together. Mm-hmm. And it's not a line that has been together for 5 seasons like in years past. Mm-hmm. So that's what happens. So, but I still believe in the line. I think there's a lot of really talented players there. Dan Moore has surprised me, and a lot of good news from him from a development standpoint as a swing tackle for us. Mm-hmm. And then, Kevin Dotson was great last year. I think he's going to come in and do what he did. And then having Zach Banner, man, I mean, there was so much hype around him last year, and the poor guy, week 1,
first quarter,
just devastating. But I'm so happy for him and getting a deal and coming back and fighting through the rehab. And I'm excited for Zach Banner this year. He's fought hard to get here. So but Najee Harris, he's going to change a lot for this offense, and he has already showed the impact that he's going to make. I don't particularly want to see him hurdling every run. That really stresses me out. But I love the fact that, like I said, he took that man's ankles from 15 yards away when he was in the open field. So these opposing defenses know that he's not a guy you want to go one-on-one with. And he ran out of field. Otherwise, that was a touchdown.
Yes.
So that's something that is scary to me. We didn't really have that over the last few years since Bell left, having a running back who can catch and be flexed out and run routes. And Najee can do that. He's been going up against Devin Bush every day in practice. And Devin is one of the most athletic, talented linebackers in the league.
Yes.
And Devin's having his hands full.
Yeah.
So, right there, that gives Ben another weapon to flex out and torment the opposing linebackers instead of his own.
And I just want to make a point too, which you brought up, and it's just it's clicking in my head here. It's really nice on the offensive line that we've seen these young players now already. I mean, it's only been 3 preseason games, and we've already seen Moore play both tackle spots.
Yep.
So he was in the left tackle spot for Chooks when Chooks was out.
Yep.
Running with the ones. And then right after Banner's first drive, I know they're limiting Banner snaps because he's still returning from an ACL injury. Steeler Nation, do not be afraid of Banner. Do not think that Moore is taking Banner snaps. It's strictly because they've been limiting his snaps to get him ready for preseason. They're erring on the side of caution, which is great because this is something the Steelers have never done before. Usually right at the 9-month mark, you're back in 100%. This time they're like, we're at 10 months now. We're going to be approaching 11 as we hit the start of the season, 12 as we hit the start of the season, and they're doing it the right way. Yeah. But Moore he got to come in with the ones last week after Banner with his first drive and play 3 more drives with Ben Roethlisberger, which were scoring drives, which is great.
I mean, yeah, I really liked what I saw from the ones this past week. I really did. And, and we were just talking about Devin Bush. We missed him dearly last season when he went down with the ACL. And then Kevin Colbert's like, oh, I'm just going to pick up Joe Schobert. And that's what he did. And now that middle, I think, is way better than anything we had last year. No disrespect to any of the players, but Devin Bush and Joe Schobert. Joe Schobert is a magnet to the ball, just like Minkah Fitzpatrick on the back end. So now you got a ball magnet in the deep half, and then you got one in the mids, which is where we've had issues with tight ends in the past.
Yeah.
So the ball finds Schobert, the ball finds Fitzpatrick. I like that equation all day.
So how do you feel about the corners? Because for me, it was tough losing. Well, we knew we were going to lose one between Hilton and Sutton. We knew that the Steelers decided we like the diversity of Sutton. He has a chance to start outside. So this is the guy we're going to keep. And I understand that completely. But then Nelson leaving the team was a surprise to all of Steeler Nation. And I still think it's one they're still kind of trying to figure out how it's going to work on the outside. Do you see Sutton still flexing down to the slot? Do you see him staying to the outside? What do you like at least about the corners that can at least give me a little bit of respite and excitability about the secondary when I see that cornerback position and just the variability of it right now as being the only question mark on that D?
The biggest loss for me was Mike Hilton by far. Nelson for me, I think it came down to who are the Steelers going to keep, Joe Hayden or Steve Nelson. And they picked Joe Hayden. I think it was that simple. I think both of them wanted extensions and only one was going to get one. So I think, that strictly business decision. So Nelson wanted a future elsewhere. Fine. Okay. He was solid last year, but he wasn't big enough to make a deal about it. Right. I would have been much more upset if Joe left without question. And I think when you look at it like that, X's and O's, who would you pick, Nelson or Hayden? Without question, you're picking Joe Hayden. Now, going back to Cam Sutton, Sutton has really blossomed over the last few years. I think he's going to be a guy that plays inside and outside, depending on the matchups. And that gives the versatility there, which leads the outside potentially open for a guy like Pierre. And I have heard lots of good things. We've all heard good things about him in camp and in practice. I think he needs to really embrace the snaps and do less thinking out on the field and just react, because that's where he's best. But James Pierre is a baller. And I think once he gets that confidence, he's going to be a problem for opposing offenses for sure.
And shouting out to Kenny Beamer. What's up, Steeler Nation? Derek Lore, sleeping our way to the Super Bowl 7 rings. Go Steelers. There you go, man. There you go. And we've got our last preseason game. Odd that there's only 3 now, though the Steelers still did play 4. I mean, obviously we got to play extra games and stuff because of COVID and everything. But we've got a game against the Carolina Panthers this week. Starters probably aren't going to be playing this game. What do you want to see out of the last preseason game, Brad?
As Tomlin would say, I want to see the guys who are on the bubble. I want to see guys who are either going to make the team or they're getting cut. And that's stepping up to the challenge and the opportunity, knowing that they're either going to be out of a job or making a roster spot. So that's what I want to see. But I think a guy like James Pierre will get snaps for obvious reasons. Guys like that, I would not be surprised if Highsmith plays a little bit as well. I don't think we see Freiermuth at all for a reason. But, guys who are on the bubble, depth positions for us. Names escaping me. Safety.
Killebrew, which one? The
Trey
backups. Trey Edmonds.
No.
That's it. Because that's
the Swiss Army. The Swiss Army knife we drafted.
Oh, the Dre Norwood.
Trey Norwood. Yes. Yeah. Norwood has been a ball magnet as well. If you've been watching him in the preseason and in practice, he's always around the ball. And once again, Tomlin is very good with finding these guys. The ball finds them.
Yeah.
and that's something where Trey Norwood has always been around the ball. So I'm excited to see more of him. They really like this guy. He's very versatile. He can come up and play slot as well.
Yes.
So that's a guy I want to see get more snaps. But yeah, I think Joe Schobert is going to play, get more reps within the defense because he's going to be calling a lot of plays. I think Devin will probably get some snaps as well, just because he's working his way back. Probably Banner. But yeah, I mean, I would love to see Najee, but I doubt he gets any snaps. I don't think we're going to see Chase Claypool. We don't need to see Chase Claypool in this game. I think you give him the rest till week 1 because that ankle scare was something I don't want to experience again.
No, not at all. We're just starting to get some cuts across the board. I don't know if the Steelers ones are in. We're trying to report on those directly as they happen. It's supposed to cut down time is 4 p.m. But an interesting cut that's just happened from the Jaguars is a reserve offensive interior lineman. Derwin Gray was just cut.
Yep.
If a lot of you guys remember him as an ex-Steeler, plays all 3 interior spots, was also part of that Matt Canada offense with McFarland over there at University of Maryland. And so it'll be interesting to see if the Steelers either try to pick him up on practice squad or try to slot him in somewhere. But I knew he was a guy they really like. It's tough with the depth on offensive line, though, to be able to kind of throw him in to the mix. But I'd like to see them at least try to pick him up in the practice squad and maybe maneuver as the season goes on.
I mean, you can never have too many players on the team who are familiar with the playbook and the culture of the team. So, yeah, I would see them trying to make a run at him to bring him back. But also another guy I want to see is Dwayne Haskins. I want to see Haskins play. I don't know if we're going to see a lot of Rudolph, but I think you'll see Haskins and Dobbs. But I stand by that. I was talking to someone yesterday. We were talking about Josh Dobbs. Josh Dobbs is a stud, man.
Yeah.
And he brings you that versatility, even in a least case scenario where we need someone to come in and run like Lamar Jackson and be Lamar Jackson in practice for prep week. He does that. So yeah, I don't know. Obviously I feel like Rudolph is still going to be there, but that means you got to cut somebody. I don't foresee them keeping 4 quarterbacks. But I don't know, man. It's going to be an interesting few days to see how the roster rounds itself out. But at the end of the day, people are sleeping on the Steelers this year. I stand by that regardless of how difficult the schedule is. And barring any major injuries, I think the Steelers are going to make some noise this year.
Yeah, it's going to be a completely different team. I mean, just picking up Schobert in the middle is already it's already transformed our defense. It was a defense that we always had one guy that could kind of cover in the middle, but having 2 guys now that can cover in the middle and bang in the run game and get to the quarterback and make tackles for losses. I mean, this is a new style when you have people eaters in front of you with Alualu and Hayward and Tuitt. I mean, come on.
Not to mention TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith.
Right.
So like, I mean, that to me is exciting and
might be the best front 7 in the league. This might be the most talented front 7 in the league, especially once they start playing where people start seeing how good Schobert is with his guys, how good Highsmith is and how he's progressing this season. This can be an elite, the league's best front 7.
Yeah. Ike Taylor always used to say, Steelers don't rebuild, they reload. And that's what they've done. I mean, the defense has not had a drop off and they've done so well with the draft as well as trades. Kevin Colbert has been, I think this might be his best offseason.
I agree.
Draft and signings included.
Yes.
Obviously getting Minka a few seasons back, like the last few years, he's been very, very good for the Steelers.
Killing it.
So yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with Ben. A lot has been rumored that this is his last season. So let's go get 7 for 7. How about that?
I hear you there. And we have a question from Steeler Nation podcast. How you doing, Colton? Good to see you out there too, my friend. And thank you for chiming in too, helping us out with the Norwood debacle when we were trying to figure out which team players on the team. So we're honestly Steeler Nation. This is you got me on the show, you got Brad on the show. Brad's an entertainment person from California, and he's rattling off practice squad people. He's rattling off third string depth people. We know it's a Steeler Nation. Steeler Nation knows our teams. It takes us a little bit sometimes, but we will eventually get there.
One of the funniest things is I was down in Tampa for the Super Bowl in 2008. And I was at this restaurant, and this Cardinals fan was being real obnoxious. And he was basically like, "You can't name 5 players on the team." I was like, "Bro, I can name all 53. So step away." And then he walked off real quick.
Yeah. Did you start routing them off?
Oh yeah, 100%. And by the time I got to like the mid-teens and 20s, he walked away. And I was like, "See ya."
Yeah. You could probably rattle off 5 players from his team.
Oh, without question. 100%.
I mean, I know I got Larry Johnson. That's about it. I mean, he's one of my all-time, or Larry Fitzgerald. I'm sorry, one of my all-time favorite non-Steelers of all time.
He hung it up, man.
Oh, did he retire?
Yeah.
He's officially. Oh my! Because I think he was the last person in Ben Roethlisberger's draft class that was still playing in the league currently.
Yeah, he stepped away.
Wow.
But he left the door open for maybe a late season return. But yeah, he's like, "I just don't have the urge to play right now," and respect.
Oh, much love to that guy though. He's
such a good
teammate,
dude on and off
player.
the field.
Yeah, agreed. So first question from Steeler Nation. I'm going to point this one straight to you, Brad. Mighty Guru over at SteelerNation.com is asking, what are you going to do with that $17 million in cap space? Is there a cornerback out there worth a look? Going for a trade? Or would you go for a different position? Is there anything that you would do if you were the GM of this team?
The priority right now, first and foremost, is extending TJ Watt. That's the priority. So until we get that deal done for TJ, the cap space is irrelevant. And the cap space that's there right now is for TJ Watt. So that's the priority. So I think let's see how much cap space we have after we give him the biggest deal in NFL history.
For a defensive player, indeed.
So but like right now, I'm sure a lot of people are like, "Oh, we got a lot of money to spend." We do not, because most of that's going to TJ.
I'm on the opposite end of this, and I know I've been taking a lot of heat from Steeler Nation. I still think it's going to be very difficult for the Steelers to be really spending any more money than they're currently spending on TJ Watt this season. This season, he's already on the books for 10 mil because it's his 5th-year option, which is a high amount. So for me, you've got to be giving him $50 million in a signing bonus for you to even get to 10 million on the books for this season.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be interesting. I still think that cap number is going to drop a little bit. We're going to be a little surprised on how much cap money, which, I mean, let's go back a few short months to right around the draft when the Steelers were like 25 million over the draft, which they would have been right at the cap number had it been a normal year and the cap had been, accelerating the way we had expecting it to have been
100%.
increasing. We would have had no problem, but Ben takes a huge pay cut. We got to cut a couple people. And then we had some surprise leaves, like especially when we lose Pouncey and David DeCastro from the line, that freed up a ton of money.
Yeah.
And we lost Nelson, that freed up some more money.
Yeah.
It's just been
Vince Williams.
Yeah. Vince Williams first being a cap casualty, then coming back to the team, and then unfortunately retiring because unfortunately he was just too banged up to continue his career. And man, at least got to give a shout out to Vince and an awesome career he's had.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, for sure.
Time with the Pittsburgh Steelers,
and the other thing too on that note, man, like looking at the team and what we have, I mean, I'm not going to speak for Steeler Nation, but I hope we try to keep Juju. Yes. He is so important to the offense. He's so important to the team. I was so glad he came back on that 1-year deal, but you got to have cap space for him. Yes. And here's the thing a lot of people need to realize is if Ben steps away after this year, which is looking like that might be the case, that's going to free up even more cap space. So Juju can get extended, and then we'll have to extend Minkah Fitzpatrick. And he's another guy that's going to be owed a large sum. So that, guys like that, we need to keep the key players. And I do not think Juju Smith-Schuster is a player that you can just, all right, bye, good luck. He's not that player. He's not.
And as we currently sit for next year, according to Spot Track, Spot Rack over here, spotrack.com. Steelers right now are currently sitting for next year at $64 million under the cap, and that's before a salary cap increase. So that is, I mean, that number is probably going to go up by 10 mil with the sound. That would be a minimum, but we're talking about a blow up happening here soon, maybe a 20 mil increase with the recoup from these years off. Big television contract coming up, throwing on top of streaming money, which is a brand new source of revenue for the NFL, and making all these streaming contracts now.
And also the budget was, the cap was lower last year.
Right.
So like it was very tight. And now going into next season, it's going to go up because of that. Yeah. So COVID impacted obviously the entire league and the world. So, you know, the cap went down. So now it's going to go back up next year. And with all the different sources of revenue and everything going on, we might have a ton of cap space. And I hope that's the case. Yeah. Because like, you know, with all the rumors that Ben's hanging up, maybe Haskins isn't the guy. Maybe Rudolph isn't the guy. Maybe you bring a guy from Green Bay over.
Oh, you go Steeler Nation.
You know, I wouldn't be mad at that, especially given him the weapons that we have on the outside. Right. I don't think
and a defense like that to help him get the ball back.
100%. So, you know, we'll see. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves, but I'm saying if we have cap space to play around, you know, let's play around.
And we've got a question over on Facebook from Anthony Laird. From what you saw, does Ingram still have enough in the tank to be a good part of our defense?
1,000,000,000%. He could be a starter. He could be a starter, but he's going to probably back up Highsmith. If not, they're going to, you know, Tomlin's going to say, we don't have a clear one. They're going to split, you know, snaps, blah, blah, blah. Yep. But I mean, he could start elsewhere. So that's the best depth we've had on the outside, where he can not only come in for TJ Watt, but also Alex Highsmith and give those guys breathers. And that is something we haven't had, where there was a significant drop off when Bud Dupree came out or TJ came out. And now that's not the case.
And I will just reiterate too, what we just touched on a little bit talking. We now have 3 linebackers, outside linebackers that can flop and play both sides.
Yep.
So they're going to start creating rotations, flipping them from side to side, creating mismatch nightmares for other teams. So this is going to be a neat thing to watch this season, which we didn't see when it was Bud and Watt. The only thing we saw was them switch positions entirely when Bud started off as the right outside linebacker and Watt was left, and then they swapped them. And that helped out Bud's career. His last 2 years as a left outside linebacker, he seemed to really lock down that side and get in there a lot easier, whereas Watt was just destroying those left tackles coming around the edge.
Yeah, and the depth too with like Quincy Roche and Isaiah Loudermilk, who's getting a ton of Hayward comparisons.
Right.
I mean, the draft was solid. It really was. And Harvin.
Yes. Yeah.
Harvin.
I know. I'm excited for a punter.
Oh my gosh. I hope they give that guy the job, man. What a stud.
Yeah. It's tough not to at this point, because it seems like the Steelers have been trying to replace Barry every year for the
100%
for the past 4 or 5 years. I mean, with Brad Wayne competition, we ended up getting a draft pick from the Jets from that. And that's in 2000 or the Giants from 2017, I think was that competition.
Long time
but we keep throwing in a new person.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're going to put Colquitt's son out there this year from last year. And that lasted all but a couple games. And like, okay, we'll bring Barry back. But the cool thing is, like, Barry is a gamer, man. Like, you draft this young kid, he's kicking his butt off this year. So Steelers may be able to pull another draft pick for maybe a punter, which would be insane.
And Harvin's experience, he won the Roy Guy Award.
Yeah.
Roy Guy. So he is a baller. Yeah. And he's a pedigree. So I think you got to give him the job. And that first preseason game, I was like, what is happening? Like,
that was the sickest game I've ever seen as
from a
Pittsburgh
punter.
Steeler fan, as a punter. Until we just saw Detroit's punter Fox kick.
Yeah. I mean,
I can kill it too.
Just shocked. But once again, like we are getting better in all these areas. Barry was very inconsistent last season, and that put us in bad situations from a field standpoint. So, you know, field position's very important. And if Harvin can pin opposing teams back behind the 10 consistently, good luck going up against that defense inside your own 10.
Nice. And we got another question here right under the gun from Sean McGowan over here on Facebook. Do you think Chooks has what it takes to hold down that left tackle spot, or is Dan Moore going to take over at some point?
Yes. Yes, that's my answer. I think it's vague, but I think Chooks will start. And if he struggles, I don't think Tomlin's going to hesitate to throw Dan Moore in there. Yeah. And I think that's fine. Trial by fire. That's what he does. So yeah, I mean, Chooks did a good job, but yeah, if he struggles, Tomlin's not going to let the blind side of Ben be a revolving door.
No. And I'm with you a bit there too, but I have a slightly different point of view on the fact that Chooks he is an NFL tackle. He's an NFL starting tackle. He's a right tackle last year. Now he's got to flip and play left tackle. It's difficult to flip for an entire season when you're a starter, though he was a left tackle all through high school, all through college. That's what he was drafted to be. And he's just been such a good swing tackle for us, and he's able to play both sides, and he's able to come in for that right tackle side. Personally, I don't see Dan Moore getting on the field yet unless Chooks is injured.
Correct.
That's the way I'd have to start on that. But,
yeah, I mean, look at it.
But it's so great to have that great talent behind to be able to have this conversation.
But look how last year went with Dotson.
Yeah,
that's a good comparison to kind of see how this plays out.
But a lot of us too. Dotson ended up starting at both guard spots last year. He came in for David DeCastro early when he went down at his natural right guard position. Then when Matt Feiler drops, he's over there playing games at left guard. And a lot of Steeler Nation didn't want to see him be taken off of the field when Feiler came back healthy. So that became an interesting situation there at the end. But what a great thing to have another guy that the Steelers drafted at the bottom of the 4th round.
Yeah.
Same thing here that we're talking about with Moore.
Yeah.
4th round offensive linemen now that we're talking about becoming starters and being starters. The Steelers are starting to do it deeper in the draft. And that goes to the talent with the scouts, picking up these guys, Kevin Colbert, and them for picking the right guys at the right time as well. So that's really fun to see. Because we need to rebuild this line. This line was old. I mean, we had Villanueva, we had Pouncey, we had DeCastro. I mean, these guys were, and Foster obviously retiring the year before.
Yeah.
That was an ancient line. It is time for the new line and moving forward. And I think so far they made at least enough steps that we're going to be competitive this year. And we're going to be pushing people down the field, which is going to be fun because the games, I think this upcoming game against Buffalo is going to be a shock for the league because Buffalo is not a good run defense team. They're not. They got exposed in the playoffs, and that's why they were bumped quickly. Steelers are going to be running the football and pounding the football in that game. And we're going to see the Steelers probably be the stronger line of scrimmage in Buffalo week 1. And that's something as a fan that I'm excited about because I know it's something that Matt Canada, that we finally have a offensive coordinator that knows how to get the best out of his players and utilize them in correct ways to make it difficult to understand what play we're doing, whether we're going to run, hand off to the wide receiver, hand off to the back coming up through. Or
the other thing I'm so excited that I've been seeing with the new offense, play action.
Yep.
And we even do play action to nobody sometimes.
Yes.
And that alone, like, it's such a simple offensive scheme and concept, but we didn't do it ever. Because like we didn't have a run game. So like, what's the point of doing it? But also like seeing it in the preseason now, like defenses remain flat footed and that allows Deontay Johnson to fly down the field and pick up a 50-yarder or Chase Claypool or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, like I said, the change with the offensive coordinator is a huge, huge deal for this team. And you're going to see it very, very quickly.
Dare I say, this may be the first offensive coordinator that Steeler Nation doesn't even have a chance to complain about. This might be this might be interesting. I guess everybody else was a scheme guy. This guy is an X's and O's guy. Everybody else has run their scheme, and if it doesn't work, they keep trying to run it, keep trying to run their same plays. And this time, it's guys like, hey, if that doesn't work, or if they're keying on this, we're going to run it this way the next time.
Yep.
And bam. That's what you're gonna want to see, them learning from their mistakes during the game instead of repeating the same thing week after week.
Correct.
Yeah. Awesome. Brad, awesome having you back on the show, man.
Love it. Love it.
It's like falling right back into an old jersey, man. It's like
what we do, man.
You and I always had it going on in 2018, like we never lost a day. This is great having you back on the show.
Thanks for having me, man.
Oh, anytime. Steeler Nation, you've got to watch and follow biggest Steeler fan, Brad R. Lambert, out there on the West Coast doing Pittsburgh proud on Twitter, on Instagram, Brad R. Lambert. Do you have any other projects coming up here that you can tell Steeler Nation about that might be in the works that we can get excited about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing a lot in the entertainment space right now. A lot of the content is around, interviewing the director of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, or sitting down with one of the stars. So I'm doing a lot on the journalism side out here, and it's nice because I'm not with an outlet. I've been able to create the value and the brand with the relationships that I have to come in and bring that value. So that's been really fun for me. And I'm doing that with one of my really good friends, Matt Ramos, who is a 19-year-old kid who's just exploded on social media, has one of the biggest followings in pop culture. So he and I work very well together. And we're doing some big things out here on that end. So just trying to make entertainment a kinder, more blue collar place, bringing that Pittsburgh mentality out there. I'm working on bringing some film and TV projects back to Pittsburgh. I want to film in my hometown. So that's something I'm working on right now with a few of my projects as a producer. But yeah, I mean, sports, definitely Steelers, Penguins, the drill, staying up to date with that. And I'll definitely be coming back to Pittsburgh for the season. So I'm looking forward to that. And then I'm excited because the Steelers are actually coming out to Los Angeles this year to play the Chargers in SoFi Stadium in November. So I can't wait for that. But all in all, you can check me out on Instagram, Brad R. Lambert, Twitter, Brad R. Lambert, Twitch. If you want to have a fun watch party for all the Steelers games, chat it up with me. You can find me on Twitch at Brad R. Lambert. But yeah, Steeler Nation, come say hi. It's all good vibes all the time.
Awesome. It takes a special person to be able to represent both DC and Marvel and do it in a kind, excited way for both franchises.
Why not?
No better representation I could ever think of than for Brad R. Lambert doing that. And one final thing that I want you to shout out to Steeler Nation is talk about this trailer that just dropped.
Yeah, Steeler Nation, if you haven't heard, a little trailer by the name of Spider-Man No Way Home dropped last night, and it is absolutely incredible. So if you like Spider-Man, Toby, Andrew, Tom, I'd watch the trailer because Spider-Man this film's going to break records and it's going to blow your freaking mind.
Awesome. Brad R. Lambert, thank you for joining the show. I'll be seeing you in Pittsburgh, hopefully soon this year. We'll crack a beer. We'll watch the game. We'll have a good time, man. So peace out, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Yep. See ya. Steeler Nation, read our great articles at SteelerNation.com. Tweet us at Steeler Nation. Instagram us at SteelerNation.com. Follow the Steeler Nation podcast on Twitter at _SN podcast, or follow your lowly host, G.Stryker, on Twitter and Instagram at SN Striker, Striker spelled with a Y. Thanks for joining us for the SteelerNation.com podcast, sponsored by Total Sports Enterprises. I'm your host, G.Stryker, with Brad R. Lambert, rooting along with you as always. Go Steelers!